Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Friday morning, August 20th, 2021. We get together most weekdays with our distribution partners at this time at 8 o'clock Central or a minute or so before to talk about tactics, tips, strategies, success stories, and such. We have been rapidly growing our national team of white label partners, and many of which are becoming financial literacy educators. What I've heard consistently is we needed an updated step-by-step guide to help our new white label partners understand the flow. So that's exactly what we're going to go through today. So we're looking at two items on the shared screen if all is going well. On the left is the agenda, which is the process, which we're going to go through together today. The second is we're on the iimfl.org website, the white label page. So home page, white label page. Pretty much everything that you need to know as a white label partner is on this page. And so if you've not gone to this page, you're not familiar with this page, that's going to be the first way to resolve any deficiencies in understanding or knowledge. We're going to go through the process on the left, and then I'll be pointing you out where many of these items are on the right. So let's take it from the top. Agenda item number one, become a white label partner. So why would you want to become a white label partner? There's no cost. You get to control the client pricing. You control the client terms. You manage the client process. We provide the turnkey program. You make great income. So those are the reasons. That's not the purpose of today's training, but just I'm going to keep tying back on the left where we're at on the agenda with where you'll find that information on the right. So afterwards, you'll know where to go. Okay, so how do you become a white label partner if you want to become one? Right here in the red. Click there, get set up in a couple minutes. Great. What do you do then? What should be the first thing that you should do? Get familiar again with this page. There's a few training videos here at the top. This is a pretty big deal. So if you went out and bought a Domino's franchise, you would probably have to fly to Michigan or wherever their centralized training is and spend several days. Well, I'm here to tell you that you should and could make more money with us working together as a white label partner than you would profitability-wise of running a Domino's franchise. So we don't require you to fly to Michigan and spend a few days in class, but to sign up as a white label partner and not diligently go through this material is irresponsible, right? You're possibly not going to serve clients as well. You're likely going to dramatically reduce your success and income by not being diligent. So these are trainings that we've had live before. These are kind of the best of the best, and they're recorded, available for you. If you're interested in teaching the classes, which we'll talk about here in a minute, this is a new module, and even the packet is there. Beyond the YouTube videos, so don't stop. So if you've signed up as a white label partner and you say, well, I've watched the videos, of course, there's active learning where you're sitting there taking notes and really focused versus passive, where you're maybe doing other things and letting it play in the background. Again, if you went out and spent $1 million to get a new franchise, which isn't our model, of course, you'd probably be really engaged in it. And so here, this should be $1 million business per year for you. So I would encourage you to get engaged. But beyond the videos, then there's some other information which I'll tie back to when we get to it in the process. But there's just other information that you need to be familiar with. So the point is, don't stop with just the videos. Take the time to get familiar with all the content. And I'll be pointing out some of the highlights as we go through. Okay, so third bullet. So once you've become a white label partner, that is awesome. We're working together. We're going to go conquer the world. That's great. But you need to understand that the contract between you and the client is between you and the client. We have an agreement between us and you that is established here in the red, but you need to contract with your client. Sometimes I guess, well, could you just do a verbal contract with your client? You could, but I wouldn't recommend it because you want to minimize the risk of misunderstanding And the best way to do that is to put it in writing. You might say, well, how do I do that? Well, we've provided you template agreements right here. And they're editable Word documents. You can click on and open. Access to capital is the model that we use when the client has no upfront cost. It's a deferred refundable deposit that's not collected until after their first capital raise. In contrast, capital ready, they pay that refundable deposit up front. You can decide which of these two options you want to enroll each client in. Most of you are heavy on the access to capital, but it's up to you. But we've provided you a template in Word, editable Word format for each of these. Of course, you'll need to go in and put your contact information, but beyond that, what did we say? We said you control the client terms, and we'll get to the pricing in a moment, but in terms of client, in reference to the client terms, you can change anything in those templates you want. You could start from scratch, it's up to you. But we're making it simple for you. You have the template. It's actually what we use for our direct clients. So it's not just a theoretical agreement. It's actually what we use for our direct clients. Okay, so with that being said, you've got to decide what you're going to charge your clients, because you will decide, is their deposit refundable or non-refundable? Are you going to charge the normal $2,500, which is in the templates, or do you want to make it more or less? That is up to you, but you need to decide that. And then also you need to decide what the client's performance fee is going to be. The performance fee is like a success fee, what they pay from the capital raise. You can charge them as little or as much, I guess, as you want. I've never seen anyone go below 3%. I've never seen anyone go above 20%. The average has been 10%. So in other words, if the client raised $1 million, they pay you 10% of that, 100,000. If the client raises 100,000, they pay you 10% of that, 10,000. That's very consistent with the industry, very fair, but it's up to you. Mark, one of our biggest hitters, he charges 20%. That's a lot, but again, he's also doing some other things for them to help justify that. But you need to decide what your client pricing is. And then again, the contract templates I showed you. So of course, whatever you decide that you're going to charge the clients should be accurate. I'm sorry, scrolling down on the wrong one, should be accurately described on the agreements that you're going to use. When you're setting up these agreements with your clients, you can set it up in Adobe and DocuSign. Best practice would be set it up as online terms and conditions, so it's really easy for them to click. We can help you with that. We'll talk about that in a minute. But it's up to you how you want to contract with a client and then how you want to execute that contract. But we would recommend having written agreements with clients. That way they know what's expected of them and they know what you're promising to do as well. Okay, so there we are with how to become a white label partner. So now you're signed up, you've decided your pricing, and you can just go with default if you want, and you're able to start contracting with clients. Awesome, awesome. So we're starting a new process effective today of an onboarding call. So we've set up a new Calendly link that's specific for our white label partners. There's availability 5 days a week. And so we would encourage you. Before, we were sending you over to Scott. We've grown so much, Scott can't handle it anymore. So Scott's role is going to change a bit. He's going to focus on building your landing pages and your follow-up sequence and that, which I'll talk about in a moment. So he will no longer be doing the regular support of white label partners. He'll only be working with those that are doing the online lead development, which I'll talk more about in a minute. So what's the point? For your initial onboarding or just individual ongoing support, you're going to schedule here. And we have slots available 5 days a week. Also, we do the group training, right? That's what we're doing here. So each day we have an opportunity to get together, learn something, and anything that can be shared across the platform, we can discuss it here. If you want one-on-one, we have a special type of Calendly appointment slot, which is available daily here. Okay, so we've discussed so far how to become a white label partner, some of your front end setup, and we've talked about the new onboarding and phone support. Okay, so we've talked about before, if we're going to generate clients, we need to have leads. Just to clarify, there are two primary ways of generating leads. Now, you can generate leads however you want to generate leads because they're your clients, right? You're marketing, you're contracting with them. The relationship is technically between you and them. But if we want to talk about best practices and what we see work best, it really falls into two categories of lead development. The first of which is my focus and my specialty and what I'm passionate about and have done for years, and it's proven to be successful, is educate. And through that education, you'll automatically develop a sales funnel because they'll know you, they'll trust you, they'll understand the value proposition that we offer. And so it really takes the selling out of lead development if you want to go with education. I understand not all of you want to teach. That's fine. Not trying to persuade you differently, but we're going to talk about the two primary ways of generating material volume. So if you want to use our educational curriculum, you become a financial literacy educator. Not selling you anything. There's no cost to be a financial literacy educator. We've had training on this recently. There's a training video. Actually, it's this video right here. If you've not watched it, you can watch it. If you've not gone through the financial literacy educator information packet, you can. There's no passwords. We're very transparent. So any of these, regardless if you're working with us or not, you can click on, you can view. So anyway, so you need to decide if you want to become a financial literacy educator. I'd recommend that you do that. You don't have to do that. The concept here is we develop leads, and this is a little bit deeper of a bullet. So if you can tune in with me for a second. So yes, developing leads by educating people using our curriculum, that's obvious. But what I also need you to understand is that if you become known as a resource in your community and you use education as the platform to receive the referrals, you can do some incredible volume based upon referrals and key influencers, getting referrals from banks and chambers and churches and other organizations and entities. In my opinion, if you are active in teaching, what you can do, and we've proven this, and we'll train you if you go through the certification process, is that you promote your education to the key influencers. They're going to be very willing to refer to the education, and from the education, we can pivot into the programming, and you make money every step of the way. So if you want to teach, you need to get certified. We used to only do this in person. Now it's in person or online. Actually, the last in-person training to become certified is a week from today, actually, August 27th. We won't have a morning training that day because we'll be getting set up for that. But the online is just fine. Once you are certified, which you can get certified in a short amount of time, it's a 4-step process. We'll get you familiar with that. It's not a problem. Then you can begin teaching the curriculum in person, online, or both. It's up to you. So we're not talking about how you get trained. How you get trained is probably going to be online because our last in-person class is next Friday, August 27th. What I'm saying is you're teaching the curriculum, which you can learn more about here. Then you can teach it in person or online. One of the perks that we offer of becoming a financial literacy educator, which again is free, is you get geographic exclusivity. So you get to pick the county and state, of course, but the county that you want to teach in-person classes, and no one else will teach in-person classes there. And again, the training video that I'm referring to is this one right here. Okay, so with that, the second primary way to generate leads is online. Now, you can develop your own leads, or we have leads that you can get access to, but regardless, the concept here is the opposite of this. So with education, what we're trying to do is get people in front of us, figuratively via Zoom or literally in a classroom, teaching, developing familiarity, developing trust, and then moving them into the capital raising process. The opposite of that is the online, where typically you're just driving them into your landing page. Again, you can create your own landing page, or as I mentioned, Scott can create one for you. But the bottom line is often you're not even conversing with these people on the front end. You're just driving them to your landing page. And with what Scott's done, and I'm sure you can do something similar if you have a knack for it, is you should be able to have about a 40 to 50% conversion rate without even talking to people by just driving them into your landing page. So if you want Scott to help you do this, he does charge a small fee. It's very reasonable. He can set all that up for you. I'm not trying to pitch on that. If you want to do it yourself, or you don't want to do online lead development conversion at all, I don't care. My point right now is explaining to you the two primary ways that we've seen that works well in generating a volume of clients, one of which is leveraging education, the other of which is having a strong online lead development campaign that funnels right into a landing page. So are there other ways you can generate leads and conversions? Fine. I'm just telling you the two best that we've seen. But if what you're doing is working, don't change it. I mean, we got some big hitters on here. Some of you, what I would say is, as long as you're generating at least one client per day on average, you're generating the income you want, I wouldn't really worry about doing anything different. We have Douglas, who's on here. He's a former educator like myself. I think Douglas had somewhere between 3 and 5 enrollments in the past 24 hours. Thumbs up. What Douglas is doing is working. He may not want to do anything else, although I think he's thinking about teaching these courses in Orange County, California, which we need someone there. We also have Magnus online. He submitted, I think, 3 to 5 clients also in the past 24 hours. So some of you you're humming. Why do you need help? Why do anything different? Probably don't. But for some of us, I would encourage you to consider one or both of these strategies. Okay, moving on. Once you have a lead, we need to convert the lead. What does it mean to convert the lead? Well, you have them contract with you. Where do you get the contract we talked about? Over here, right? The templates are here, and then you edit it the way you want. You get them contracted. So again, I was trying to reach Magnus this morning. I called him, I texted him, I tried to talk to him on this. He didn't respond to me, any of those 3 efforts, which is okay. But I just want to make sure, Magnus, when you start funneling people in at a high volume, you've kind of gone from 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds, which is awesome. Just wanting to make sure that you have these clients contracted. Once you have the clients contracted, then it's real simple. You're going to submit them in right here in this form, which is what Magnus did last night 3 or 5 times. What Douglas did the past few hours, well, overnight, at least overnight, there's time difference, 3 to 5 times. So this is where you submit the client in. Do you submit a lead in here? Absolutely not. Do you send clients to this page? Absolutely not. Once you have the client committed to you, then you submit them to us here so we can implement. Well, what does that mean? That takes us next to onboarding. With onboarding, we're going to send an email to you to let you know the client's set up. It's going to have 4 pieces of information on it: the client's name, client's email, their link so they can get in and do the online business plan, financial projection creation, and then lastly, their Dropbox link. And so we explain that over here on the training. We talk about the setup is described in this paragraph, and the relevance of Dropbox I'll talk about in just a moment. So you'll get that email. We don't email the client, we email you so you can help them get started in the process. One of the first things that you'll want to emphasize is you're going to want to help them get their soft pull authorization completed, and you'll find the actual raw link here. Why do we want to get the soft pull done right away? Because we want to help them get their first tranche of funding right away. And so we need data to do that. So immediately after they have enrolled with you, I would encourage you to help them complete the soft pull authorization. It's set up as a white label, so it doesn't have your information, doesn't have our information. It's kind of neutral, but we need that data to start understanding the client's mitigating circumstances so we can create where we're going to go for their first tranche of financing. In most cases, not all cases, once we have that soft pull, then we are going to send them an application. It'll be sent in a white label format, so it doesn't identify you or us. So you want to then reach out to them and say, hey, you should have just received an Adobe email. It's a first tranche financing application. Doesn't cost you anything, doesn't impact your credit, doesn't commit you to anything, doesn't so forth, but we need that to be able to figure out where to go for your first tranche of financing. So that'll be sent to them via Adobe, and you'll be copied on that. Now for them, it has editable fields, so we can securely gather data to put together a set of funding offers. For you when you see it, it could be confusing. You see the list of questions, but you don't see the editable fields because it's not going to allow you to put that in. The client needs to put that information in. So that is the client onboarding. We want to get them their first tranche of financing as quickly as possible, ideally within 7 days. So if you're on top of it and driving them through, we should be able to accomplish that in most cases. How much will they get for their first tranche of financing? It's going to vary based upon their mitigating circumstances. Will everyone get approved for first tranche financing? Absolutely. There's different underwriting criteria for different types of funding, but we do have guaranteed up to $20,000 without a credit check and without a minimum time in business. Just keep in mind, different vehicles operate differently. Some are revolving, some are term, some are credit builder loans. So we'll have to figure out what they qualify for, but we'll only know that after they've enrolled, after they've done the soft pull, and after they filled out the first tranche application. Now you might push back and say, well, the client wants to know more before they move forward. Well, we've got to gather the data, and we don't gather the data if we don't have a client agreement. What we do promise to do, though, is to help them raise at least $100,000. You may be changing that in your agreement, but our normal agreement will say that we promise to help them raise at least $100,000. So how to be constructed and those details, we have to get data from the client to find out. But we need you to be assertive in helping them get their soft pull done and then making sure that they complete the first tranche financing application. So what happens then? Well, normally within 24 hours, 1 business day, we will process their first tranche financing application and will identify what funding options that they qualify for right now. Might be 5,000, 10,000, 15, 25, 35,000. Rarely is it above 100,000. We can always get them at least 2,500, which is enough at least to cover the refundable deposit. I understand more is the better, but we're dealing with the client circumstances. So we will notify you via email of how much they've been approved for and recommended next steps. So then you'll share that with them. For most of our clients, they're going to go through a portal where we have an application support team with a toll-free number, and we'll communicate that to you so they can work with them. So it doesn't bog you down, doesn't bog us down in them getting the funding. The client will get funding, first tranche financing. You're going to invoice the client. And so how much would you invoice the client for? Well, most likely you're going to be invoicing them for the refundable deposit, which normally is $2,500. Maybe you've agreed more or less for the client. And then also the performance fee may be applicable on that first capital raise. So you're going to invoice them and they're going to pay you. Then we get to the final phase of the client relationship. This is where you get to make a decision of how involved you want to be with the financial literacy curriculum. So when we take clients internally, it's a 4-week process. For you all, we don't call it weeks, we call it modules, because you could move faster or slower than 1 lesson a week. But there's module 1, module 2, and so forth. Each has a white label YouTube, and then you can access all the participant guides and instructor guides from this one link. So this is award-winning curriculum. It's going to help your client improve their financial literacy, be more knowledgeable, and be more successful. Now you might say, well, wait a second. If I'm teaching these people over here, why would they need to go through these lessons? Well, this is a greater level of detail and applying what they're learning. So the two complement each other. If you and I could just build the perfect model and not worry about time, money, or happiness, if we were just to build the perfect model, then the model would be everyone would be required to go through this curriculum that we teach called the Access to Capital Workshop, and then everyone would go through diligently through these 4 modules. But we don't live in a perfect world, and your time is valuable. So do people have to go through the Access to Capital lesson to be able to participate? Absolutely not. Do they, even if they've enrolled, do they have to do all these modules and do these steps? No, they don't have to. That is up to you of how much you want to get them engaged, and that's the point here. Now, the final sub-bullet here is very important. It ties back to the Dropbox. So module 4 culminates with getting the client to upload their documents into the Dropbox that we provided for you. Remember, I showed you that when we do the onboarding, we're going to provide you a Dropbox folder, and I made reference here with the key links. One of those key links is the Dropbox. So even if you want to make it easy on them and skip all the educational mumbo jumbo that you don't feel like is valuable, we still do need you to work with them to help them upload the relevant documents. So it's not all or nothing. We know that not everyone has everything, and that's okay. You need to help them upload what they do have, because that's going to help us determine where we're going to go for the capital raise. You might say, oh, it's a brand new business, Tom. They don't have any tax returns for the past 3 years. This is bullshit. Well, if they don't have it because they haven't been around, you wouldn't upload it. We don't know what each client has, so we're giving you the full list. If it's applicable and they have it, upload it. But guess what? If it's not applicable or the client doesn't have it, then don't upload it, right? It's not rocket science. So you're going to help them upload these documents into Dropbox. You're going to have access to that Dropbox, so you'll know if they've done it or not. You can look at it if they did it diligently or not. But the end result is, once you have the client's documents uploaded to the extent that they're going to do it, then you need to flag us and let us know. And then, well, actually, you'll schedule a call is what you'll do, the support call with the new model. And then we're going to go through that for each client and then work on their capital raise plan together, make sure you agree with it. If you agree with it, you'll communicate to the client. We'll help them with next steps. So that is the process. Let's start taking your questions, because we've gone through in detail the process of what you need to know, but you certainly owe it to yourself and owe it to your clients to spend some time and get familiar with the content on this page, not just what I brought to your attention, the entire page. Okay, so Misty's asking about the training for the financial literacy. So we used to do it in person. The last in-person training is on Friday, the 27th, as I've mentioned a couple of times. We do have a couple of seats remaining for it. Misty, you're welcome to come out and go to that, or you can do the online. The online training is a little bit different than the in-person. The in-person, we have more efficiencies because it's a group of people, everyone's doing something, same thing at one time. If it's individualized, it's a bit more, but it's a drop in the bucket. We can arrange financing if money's tight, and break even is less than one workshop. So I don't think anyone's going to have financial issues, but yes, we do need to cover our cost of training and supporting you. It is slightly more for online and in person because of the more individualized nature. Thank you, Misty. And I think that covers what Steve was asking as well, because what Steve's wanting us to point out is that if you do become a financial literacy educator, you do get certified, then there's no cost. We can lock down your county. We don't charge, we're not selling franchises, not selling territories, but we want to reward you for becoming an educator and getting certified so you can identify your county. So take Mr. Pitts, who's on the line here. He has San Diego County. He's reserved San Diego County. So he will be the exclusive educator in San Diego County. Now, there could be other white label partners in San Diego County, California, but none of them, without coordinating with him, will be able to do in-person workshops. Online, we can't control. Online, you can do workshops wherever you want. In person, you need to be certified, and there's the exclusivity. Thank you, Steve. All right, Peggy, yep, we can get you set up so you can teach. We'll have to find out what county you want, make sure it's still available. Let's see, Zahn asks, shouldn't we help them set up their Dropbox and live plan after we process? Yes, and that's what I meant to suggest, and I apologize, Zahn, if I wasn't consistent with that. But yes, after the first tranche financing. Well, I maybe see the question. I think maybe what Zahn meant to say, or what he said, and I should have understood, is normally you won't spend time and energy working on their loan package until after they've funded the refundable deposit. You want them motivated to get that out of the way. Now, if you want to go ahead and get them started on the educational curriculum immediately, that is fine. But as far as actually supporting them and working with them on populating the Dropbox and working on their business plan, I would hold off on that until they have worked with you to get the refundable deposit submitted, because that generates $2,500 of gross income to you. And if you don't prioritize that, the client might not prioritize that. So I would agree. Certainly you can start them with the education if you want, but I wouldn't be working with them on the loan package in summary until they've submitted the refundable deposit. But that is up to you. Warren has 3 quick questions, but he didn't list them, so I don't know what they are, Warren. So if you can list them, we can work on them. Okay, and so Steve's got a question. So is there a cost to be a white label partner? No, there's no cost to be a white label partner. We don't charge you to be a white label partner. Now, there's some expectations that you have of us and we have of you and so forth, but it doesn't cost anything to be a white label partner. Does it cost anything to be a financial literacy educator? It does not. It does not cost anything to be a financial literacy educator. Does it cost anything to have geographic exclusivity? No, doesn't cost anything. Not selling you territories or what have you. Is there a fee to be able to help us offset the cost to get you certified? There is. There is. And you can come in person, Steve, next Friday, or you can do it online. So hopefully that explained that. Misty's asking, what does she send the clients? Well, it depends where they're at in the process. In terms of the financial literacy, it's all sitting here, and you can decide you want to drip this to them and have them complete module 1 before you give them module 2. You want to just make it easy on yourself and give them all 4 modules at once. It's really up to you. Some of you are doing group classes for the literacy. Some are doing it one-on-one. Some are doing it pretty much not at all. The implementation is really up to you, Misty, of how you want to handle the financial literacy. Magnus asked a good question. So in terms of how you execute the agreement with the client, again, we've got the templates that are sitting here. You can send it to them via DocuSign, Adobe, keep it real simple. I mean, it's entirely up to you. And then the second interpretation of your question, Magnus, is when we send them the FTF application, it comes to them via Adobe. That's the software that we use. It's secure. It's not free. We pay for it, but it's free to them and secure. And they don't have to go purchase anything to be able to complete the FTF application. They don't have to buy some sort of software. Okay, thank you, Magnus. Oh, here's Warren's 3 questions. He asked, number 1, on the landing page, should we offer any contact information? Well, I'm going to defer to you and Scott how the landing pages should be set up. He is a machine when it comes to that. I know that he's helped a number of you set up landing pages. Our top guy that's, I think, 300 and some client conversions this month already has used Scott's model. I don't know those answers, so I'm going to defer to Scott on landing page specifics. And then I think Warren's asking some questions about the commercial address, which is not really what we're talking about now. But yes, if they use our commercial address program, they'll get a unique suite number. Misty asked, when should you send the first tranche flyer? Now, that's a great point. So recently we covered the new first tranche flyer, and that is up to you if you want to use that, when you want to use that. We're going to include that as part of the packet that we send to them here during the implementation. But you're right, Misty, some people are using that first tranche flyer as a marketing tool. So that would be up to you in how you're wanting to use that to generate clients. Steve says, thanks. You're welcome, sir. Deanna asked about in-person training. So we were going to only do the train the trainer trainings for teaching the curriculum in person. We got a bunch of backlash. And I mean it positively. A lot of people said, hey, we don't want to travel. COVID's acting up again. There's cost involved travel, whatever. So we moved to online. So at this point, Deanna, our last in-person training is scheduled for next Friday. It'll be online going forward, unless something changes, or if you have a group of people that want to come in, Dion, we could schedule something for you and your team. But in general, we expect the last in-person trainer to be next Friday. So we have seats left if you want to join us. Misty asked, so we send them the application for the first tranche? No. So you'll notice there's pronouns here. Let's see here. We will send them the first tranche application. You're just going to alert them of it, and you'll know to alert them of it because you're going to be copied on it when we send it to them. So we send out, you're going to help them do the soft credit pull because there's a link that's available right here. But we will then send them the first tranche financing application, and we will copy you on it. Okay, so we're not at 1,000, but my goodness, we are growing quicker and quickly and closer to having 1,000 of you as white label partners, which is awesome. Many of our affiliates off the old platform switched over. The white label partnership is the way to go, right? It's free, it's easy, you have more control, you make more income, you control the client's terms. If you want to just simply release clients, you can just simply release them. So this is the golden ticket, I think, for many of us. With that, we needed to come back and just make sure everyone understood the step-by-step process for client onboarding. So we've gone through it. We've made reference to this page on the IIMFL website. Really important that you go through this. We talked about the new support model. We have a new link for scheduling, and we have openings on a daily basis. So who else has any questions regarding what you need to do to either become a white label partner, to make a lot of money as a white label partner, how to process clients? What else do you have that we need to cover here before we end the call today? So yes, Misty, the soft credit pull link is right here. This is what you're going to use right here. This is it. This is it. What's it going to look like? You click on it. It's going to look like this. This is what it's going to look like. Okay. Thank you, Misty. Warren asked regarding the first tranche financing brochure, can you modify? Yeah, so as a white label partner, you can modify the documents as you wish because it's between you and them, right? And so you set up the contract with them using the templates we showed you here. You're determining, Warren, what the process is for your clients, the terms and the pricing. So you're able to communicate whatever message you want to your clients. Our relationship with you comes from the white label partnership. What you want to do with your clients is between you and them. Okay, who else has any questions, comments, concerns? So Misty's got a new one. What do you tell clients that want information on the program before they sign up? Well, what I would tell them, so let's just role play. I'd say that we are looking for early stage and startup businesses or even pre-launch businesses that need $100,000 or more to start or grow. We've got a grant subsidized program that there's no cost to enroll in, and we actually guarantee a minimum of $100,000 capital raise. Could be more than 100,000, but that's the minimum. We have a high level of support, obviously through our white label partners, and we would encourage you to give it a try. And so then for them to do that, they're going to execute the agreement that you have, most likely using these templates. And if you want to make it as easy as possible on the client, you have online terms and conditions that they can agree to. So it's a click, or you can make it more formal with a DocuSign, Adobe, or what have you. But so you explain to them the program and the process, and then the details of their funding, there's no way for us to know until we go through the process. They might ask you, well, Misty, how soon will I get financing or funding? Well, we would anticipate that your first tranche of financing would be within 7 to 10 days. If we can get started today, it looks like you should be ready for funding next Friday on August the 27th. And so that tends to help people move forward. Zahn asks, can you refer yourself? Absolutely. And that's actually a best practice. It's not on this sheet, but we'll probably discuss it with each of you. You know, it would make sense if you are your first client. You're not required to be, but it would make sense if you were your first client, because then you've gone through the process and you can be a success story and you got funding. Let's see. All right, well, I think we've covered it, and I've ran way long, and I have an appointment that I'm going to be way late to, but thank you for your time. We will be back on Monday morning. We'll have trainings Monday through Thursday next week, not Friday, because many of us are going to be meeting in person next Friday at the live training. So thanks, everyone. Again, just we'll get this training posted here on the white label page. It's just crucial that you take the time, effort, and energy to get familiar with this. This is a big deal. You can positively impact a lot of people's lives, and you can generate an adult income, but we need to get engaged and not dabble in it. And that's why we want to support each of you in having at least one conversion a day, help 30 clients a month, 365 a year. And with that, you'll make a meaningful difference in your community. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good weekend. Bye.